Legend of Total War here, and today I want to talk to you guys about the Tides of Torment, which is the next DLC for Total War Warhammer 3. Yesterday, Creative Assembly released a teaser trailer, which included Sail the Faithless. It wasn't officially announced as Sail the Faithless, but everyone put two and two together, basically. And just a few minutes ago, as of the recording of this video, they've released Total War Warhammer 3 dev chat on Norsca, Tides of Torment design, what's next. So this was released 24 minutes ago. I've actually already watched through the whole thing, but I played it on 2x speed, so I watched it in 12 minutes, basically. Just wanted to get the gist of what they were talking about. I'll leave links to all of this stuff here in the description, but I just want to talk to you guys about what I've seen so far and what I think of it. And I'd love to hear what you guys think so far. So, with this DLC, we have now confirmed that Dakala is the Slaanesh Lord for the DLC, and that Sail the Faithless is the Legendary Lord for Norsca, but we don't have the third one yet. I think it's pretty safe to assume that it's going to be Sea Lord Aislinn, but we don't have official confirmation. Now, there was a leak on the Total War subreddit about a month ago, which I thought is really interesting now because it's starting to prove pretty much correct. I also did a speculation video 4 months ago, which some of it is proven correct so far, and some of it is proven incorrect, as per how a speculation should be. Obviously, when I get everything wrong, that sucks, but if you get everything right, well, then that's suspicious. But anyway, going on to this one here, first just going to read over it. Don't worry, I'm coming back to this as well. Got a fair few things to go over. So approximately 1 month ago, so that's 1 month ago from 1 month ago, so that would be 2 months ago, CA held an in-person player interview in Shanghai, China. It appears they contracted a UX research company to manage the process, but lacks security, caused several leaks regarding future DLC plans. Next DLC, High Elf versus Norsca versus Slaanesh. High Elf, Sea Lord Aislinn, Caradrian the Flame, Sea Helm, Merworm, and the Mysterious Element. So Legendary Lord, Legendary Hero, Generic Hero, and some of the units. Likely not comprehensive, not the whole lot for the DLC. We just don't have all of it. For Norsca, Sail the Faithless, which has now been 100% confirmed. Now, in my speculation video, I got this wrong. I speculated it would be Egil Strigelborn, but that was a pretty bad guess on my part. You know, after other people guessed Sail the Faithless, either guessed or leaked, but either way, presented it as a speculation. It made a lot more sense. I almost wanted to make another video just saying, guys, there's no way it's Egil Strigelborn, but I just thought, I'll just leave it up there and we'll just see how we go. And yeah, definitely was wrong, but that's okay. Borg Bearstruck is the legendary hero. Well, this isn't yet confirmed. Dogs of War likely been killed. We'll talk about that in a moment. And Cursed Etten and Dreadmore. Those are likely units. I don't think they're legendary heroes. Generic heroes. And then there's no additional information on Slaanesh, because by this point here, Slaanesh was already announced. Well, Dakala was announced. Actually, no, they revealed the Praeton as a new unit, apart from what we've already seen so far, which I don't really pay that much attention to the units. I'll get to know them eventually. Main thing I care about is the legendary lords and legendary heroes, the actual characters. Those are the main things that I'm interested in with the game. I care very little about the actual units themselves, but, you know, to each their own. Then there's roadmap stuff here, which I'll come back to later after I talk about the Tides of Torment stuff. Okay, so we go back over here. And so to summarize this video here, they don't talk at all about the third faction, so we don't know that 100% just yet, but I'd be willing to bet it's High Elves with Sea Lord Aislinn. But some interesting information about this is the Norsca rework. This is really focused on Norsca, and there's some really promising stuff in here, and I do recommend that you check it out yourself. But I'll just give you basically the footnotes of it. So basically, Norsca is getting a rework, and each legendary lord of Norsca is getting a rework. So Wulfric and Throg both getting reworks, and they're both getting new voice lines. And in fact, Throg is getting completely redone from his voices, because apparently it is not lore-friendly at all. And Throg is supposed to seem a lot more intelligent than what he's presented in the game. And I know a lot of people have been requesting it. I didn't care, but cool that Creative Assembly actually listened to feedback from the community. This is why I always try to encourage you guys. Go out there and talk about the things that you care about in the game, and you never know, they might actually do it. I imagine that if people didn't bring this stuff up about Throg's voice lines being not correct, that they probably wouldn't have touched on it. So it's really important that you stay active and just talk about the things that you're interested in, And, we're going to have disagreements every now and again. But the most important thing is have conversations, because I have no doubt in my mind that would not have happened if it wasn't for your conversations. Like, I had nothing to do with it whatsoever. I don't care about Throg's voice line, but basically. Then, in terms of the reworks that they're both getting, Wulfric is going to apparently use his Sea Fang as possibly a teleport mechanic. They weren't really clear on it. They said that they give him quicker movement from ports. Maybe he's able to sort of teleport from port to port. Maybe. I'm speculating a little bit, but some sort of fast movement or teleportation mechanic for Wulfric, which will probably have him stay at sea, essentially. I think that's a great idea, have him more of a raider than what he currently is. It seems as though he's also getting a different start position, because while they didn't specifically mention his start position was changed, they did say that Throg's start position wasn't changed. So I just put that in contrast of what they had previously talked about. So Throg staying where he is, Wulfric probably isn't. And I think that that's fine. I don't know where they're going to put him. Maybe Skeggy. I don't know. Who knows? We'll see. And Throg's rework is going to be centered around monsters. He's going to use his power to basically call upon the various beasts that Norsca has available to them. So as to how that plays out, I'm not entirely sure. Now, as for Sail the Faithless, he's going to have some sort of treachery mechanic where, I'm again speculating a little bit, that his main mechanic is about basically backstabbing people, which I think Creative Assembly will probably do a very good job of this one, because I think they've got a lot of experience with this kind of stuff. So I'm really not worried about them getting that mechanic wrong at all, because they're pretty damn good at that. But yeah, that's what the Norsca rework. Oh yeah, they're also going to add in a lot more monster hunts to the Monster Arcanum, because at the moment it's like they added the stuff for Warhammer 2, but then they didn't add the new creatures for Warhammer 3 so much. So basically giving Norsca the rework that they deserve. In terms of the Norscan economy, I feel like it's been fun. They also mentioned that the allegiance stuff would be changed a little bit. So as you blow up settlements or sacrifice to various of the dark gods, they can mention that it's going to change, but they didn't really go into details. Typically with these videos, you don't get a lot of details. They just give you a hint as to what's coming. So I think all that sounds great. I actually do kind of enjoy Norsca in its current form as it is in Warhammer 3. I know they're not particularly popular, but I personally don't think they're that bad. But I totally recognize that they could use a lot of flavor. So I'd be interested to see how they go with it. I think that's going to be like the main sort of rework for this DLC. Now, obviously, Slaanesh is going to get some degree of a rework. They said they're going to address the replenishment rate and stuff like that. But as for the details, we don't have that information yet. And as for the High Elves, I am just, because they're one of my favorite factions, I'm just crossing my fingers. Please don't give them the green skin treatment that they just got with Omens of Destruction. Don't just change values all over the place and make it just the same as it was before or less interesting. Please don't give the green skin treatment. Either leave the High Elves alone or give them something interesting, like some new mechanics that make them more interesting, but don't make them worse. Okay, please don't make one of my favorite factions worse, because that's what the High Elves have been getting ever since the end of Warhammer 2. Because the High Elves were in such a good place at the end of Warhammer 2. They were one of the strongest factions of the game. They were super fun to play, and now it's just that they're like okay. They've had a few things taken away from them, and it's just it's time to give a couple of things back to the High Elves, But anyway, as for what's going to happen with that, I'm not entirely sure. But before this DLC comes out, we will be getting a patch 6.2 as well, which will touch on ancillaries. But apparently no faction rework is coming for that one. I was kind of hoping, as they were talking about it, that they would talk about a Bretonnia rework. Rich Aldridge mentioned that 6 months ago, but that seems to have been put away. It doesn't seem to be coming. I don't think there's going to be any FLC or DLC coming from Bretonnia. I think they've said that it's basically complete, which in terms of units and heroes and lords and stuff, I could accept that. I just think that mechanically they're just a really boring faction. I actually liked them better in Warhammer 2 than I do in Warhammer 3. I just don't like how Bretonnia plays in Warhammer 3 anymore. It could just be getting bored of it. But yeah, so one thing I want to ask you guys, based on the information that you've seen, assuming that you've watched this video here, how excited are you for this next DLC? For the Slaanesh, Norsca, possibly High Elf DLC. Are you excited for it? Do you think it's going to be good? Yeah, let me know in the comments below, sort of thing. I'll let you know what I think so far, because I think it's good to have these conversations, and also people do tend to really judge people on their opinions, but it is what it is. I was for quite a while trying to be really reserved with my opinion, so I didn't upset people. But you realize you're just going to upset people no matter what. So now I'm just going to say it, whatever. Basically, my initial thoughts for this DLC is that I don't care as much about it as I have previous DLCs. Maybe it's because the faction that I'm actually interested in, the High Elves, hasn't been announced yet. Maybe that's when I'll start to get interested. But so far, they haven't really hooked me in yet. I feel as though Warhammer 3 is kind of getting a bit old. It's more than 3 years old now. And unless some of these reworks really come at this a bit more frequently, I do feel like people are getting a bit fatigued with the game. That's a natural cycle with any game. But I do think that the main team at Creative Assembly are now massively focusing on the next game. Because if we look through this video here, Rich Aldridge isn't there. Neither is Mitch. It does seem as though those two have been moved on to possibly Total Warhammer 40k. Again, no official confirmation with that. And that the main development of Total War Warhammer 3 has moved on to CA Sophia. And from what I've heard behind the scenes is that they're just not as quick at getting things done. So Creative Assembly is not going to basically state that. But you know, it's been a while since we've had any real information from Creative Assembly. And these DLCs are not coming in particularly frequently. And I also understand why they might be doing this, just sort of giving them a little bit of benefit of the doubt here. I think what's going on with Creative Assembly, 2023 was a disaster for them, and Sega has basically got a noose around their neck. They need to basically get a game out as soon as possible. But of course, if you get a game out and it's a piece of shit, well then goodbye. Basically, that's it. They're seppuku'd, metaphorically speaking. So it's basically all hands on deck for what I assume is going to be Total War Warhammer 40k. And from what I've heard is that the original launch date of that was going to be 2027, but they've had to bring it forward because of the disaster of 2023. But they've just dedicated more people onto it so that they can actually meet that deadline. And as for Warhammer 3, obviously it's their only active game at the moment. But DLC for Total War Warhammer 3, while profitable in its own right, isn't enough to keep the studio going, given the size that it is. They have to get a new game out. And so basically, since Pharaoh isn't doing anything, they're not doing anything more with that. CA Sophia is not working on a third Total War Troy, which probably would have been Babylon Total War. So they're left without a project, so they've given Total War Warhammer 3 over to them to work on. Now, CA Sophia, I think, are a very talented team, but I think it's taking them a little while to sort of go through all the spaghetti code and get caught up and figure out what the hell is going on with Total War Warhammer 3. But, they do seem to be making the DLC and also the patches. And that's present because the guys here in this video, they're at CA Sophia. They were the same guys that worked on Pharaoh. And they're now on Total Warhammer 3. But I think that's the logical explanation, short of an actual official statement, which we're definitely not going to get from Creative Assembly, why things are moving a bit slow. And I think that people will be okay with that if Creative Assembly would just be a little bit more frequent with their messaging, with their posts. Because what we just had over the last 2 months, that's really not something that Creative Assembly should repeat ever again. Wasn't a good idea. Where basically they gave us some information in the form of Dakala with one of these kind of videos, and then spent the next 2 months doing nothing other than basically shitpost titty snakes on Twitter. And people thought it was funny once or twice, but then it was like, it came across as pathetic, basically. And then we've had the Skulls event now, and they've revealed a good amount of information, but that's 2 months after Dakala. So is it going to be another 2 months before they give us more information about the next Legendary Lord? I doubt it. If I was to have a guess about when this DLC is actually going to launch, and again, it's a pure guess. I'm done with the leaking shit. With the guess, based on how things are currently going, I would predict this to be late July, early August, because they said coming later this summer, so it's not coming sooner this summer, because it's almost summer right now. I don't think it's coming in June. It could be coming early July, but I think that because CA Sophia seem to be still trying to figure out the spaghetti code a little bit, it might take them a little bit longer to sort of get this sorted. So I imagine that this teaser here was just designed for Skulls event to try to keep people somewhat interested in the game, but They've still got like another one of these videos planned for the High Elves, which will probably be a month from now, where they probably will do like the official trailer for the game. I mean, I'm just speculating, and then that'll reveal that'll be either late July, early August for the actual DLC, which will put it at about 8 months since the previous DLC, which is even longer than the wait between Omens of Destruction and Thrones of Decay. Now, I think that a bit of a challenge the Creative Assembly is having here is that basically the game is only as good as the last DLC. So with Shadows of Change, it was a piece of shit basically for quite a few months until Thrones of Decay came out, but Thrones of Decay was great, and honestly one of my favorite DLCs. And I felt great about Total War Warhammer 3 for quite a while after it came out. And then Omens of Destruction came out. And Omens of Destruction is kind of like in between Shadows of Change and Thrones of Decay. I kind of feel like it's a solid 5 or 6 out of 10. Like, it's fine, it's okay. But when you've got a DLC like that, and then an 8-month wait, people can get bit bored, and I think that's where people are getting at now. It's a lot of the comments that I'm getting from you guys is that, you know, how can you stay interested in this game? It's so boring, you know, it's so old now. And yeah, I get it, and like I'll be honest, I'm not excited about playing Total War Warhammer 3 at the moment. It's just because fatigue. I don't think it's a bad game or anything. I think it's a great game, but you know, after 8,500 hours. You know, sometimes you gotta take a break from the game. More than happy to keep doing disaster battles. But I'm not really playing any of my own campaigns in my own time. You know, I haven't done any more of those premiere videos. The main reason for that is that I just don't really know what I want to play. I want to make sure with those kind of videos is that I want to be playing something that I actually really want to play. And the truth is, I haven't been playing it. So that's why I haven't made one. I know a lot of people wanted me to do Kairos Fate Weaver, but I went and checked it out, and I just was like, I'm just not digging it. Like, Kairos Fate Weaver, or Zinch in general, just doesn't tickle my fancy very much these days. And I think it's just a natural part of a game that's this old. Because not 3 years old, it's really 9 years old. Because Total War Warhammer 1, I was there from the very beginning of it. And, you know, it's a pretty old game now. And it's a natural cycle that people will have been around this long. Will just get a bit tired of it. And I think that if Creative Assembly wanted to keep people interested in the game long term, they would try to focus more resources on it to get the DLCs out faster, because that does sort of keep its life going a bit more. But if it's not frequent enough, it's basically a dead cat bounce. But I don't think that is actually what they're trying to do. I think they're just trying to keep the lights on at the moment, basically keep CA Sophia busy, while the main focus of Creative Assembly is focused on Total War Warhammer 40k. So I want to go back to this one over here for a little bit. Actually, no. Still want to focus on my, I haven't mentioned my speculation video. So in this one here, so I did this on December 31st, 2024. And I made a few predictions. I did predict High Elves versus Norsca versus Slaanesh. So that ended up being correct. And although I did hear some rumors behind the scenes, because originally I thought it would be High Elves versus Dark Elves versus Slaanesh. But after I heard some rumors, I was like, oh, that actually kind of makes a bit more sense. But I had no idea about who the Legendary Lords were, which is why I got one of them wrong. So just a recap of this, and I'll put this in the description if you want to check it out again. My original predictions, because I only predicted the characters, not the units. Dakala for the Legendary Lord, I think that was a pretty easy guess to get right. And I can't even remember which Legendary Heroes I put in, so just can't remember. And then the mask for the FLC Lord, which hasn't yet been confirmed, but we'll wait and see. I predicted Sea Lord Aisling for the Legendary Lord for the High Elves, and Caradrian the Flame for the Legendary Hero for the High Elves. That's yet to be confirmed. And then as for Norsca, I predicted Egil Strigborn, which is totally wrong. And then I also predicted for the Legendary Hero Crom the Conqueror. And I don't think that that's correct. So if we have a look at this one here, I think that this is more likely to be correct. And this is a lot this was only 2 months ago, where this was 4 months ago. That being said, I don't have the inside information. But yeah, going through the roadmap here, I want to talk about this a little bit, because I think this is where we're headed, and this is sort of where the main focus is. And I sort of want to sort of help people adjust their expectations about what to expect from Total War Warhammer going forward, because all signs are sort of pointing to a certain direction that it's going, and it's heading towards the end, basically. So from what I understand, and I don't know any of this for certain, is that Dogs of War is maybe still coming. It largely depends on whether or not this next DLC, the Slaanesh versus Hyos versus Dark Elves one, Dark Elves versus Norsca, is successful. If it's like on the same tier of success as Thrones of Decay, then they'll go ahead with Dogs of War. But if it's on the same level of success of like Omens of Destruction or Shadows of Change, then they're not going to bother. What their main focus is going to be on is the End Times DLC. So, just reading this bit out here. Yes, End Times is coming again for all fantasy lovers. CA and Games Workshop will blow up the world again. The DLC will be a 5-faction content pack with the price being higher than normal pack. The planned races are Skaven, Thankwall, Empire, Middenland, probably Boris Todbringer. I don't see why it wouldn't be him. They did say Toddy will have his day. Cathay, Nagash, and Chaos Glotkin. I'd be very surprised if Creative Assembly ended development of Total War Warhammer 3 without including Thankwall or Nagash. Those are like the two big names that they haven't yet done. They're saving them for the end. But here's the big thing. There's a timer on this. If Total War Warhammer 40k is the game that's coming, and when it is eventually released, it is very likely that it will completely kill interest in Total War Warhammer 3. And so they need to get this DLC out before Warhammer 40k comes out. Now, from what I've heard, Warhammer 40k is possibly coming out mid next year, but if I had to guess, I'd say it's probably going to get delayed from what I've been told. I'd say it'd be more likely late next year, September, October, November, December of 2026. Assuming everything goes according to plan, which things usually don't. Things get blown up all the time and just it doesn't go according to plan. But anyway, they need to get this DLC out before then. Now, is there enough time for them to get another DLC out between July, August of this year and that amount of time next year, and then also getting the End Times DLC, especially considering the size of this DLC? Probably not. But you never know. I mean, if this DLC does great, they might put additional resources on it and try to get that done. Because from what I've heard, because the people have data mined that there's Dogs of War files in the game, but every single game that's ever been made has got ideas that they wanted to put into the game that never got implemented. And it's likely they dabbled around a little bit with it, but it's not finished yet. Who knows? We don't know for certain because Creative Assembly is not 100% transparent with any of this stuff, as per most companies are not transparent. But Creative Assembly is like especially enigmatic with it, like deliberately, but it is what it is. So yeah, only 1 or 2 DLCs are left between Slaanesh DLC and End Times DLC. Then there's some other stuff over here, which I've heard the stuff before. Beastman will have one more DLC for Moonclaw. I would be very surprised if that came to be. I'd say if that was going to happen, I'll come back to that in a minute actually. There will be a DLC for Monkey King with his own faction. What I think is going to happen here, this is another one that would make them a lot of money and that they should try to prioritize doing it. Oh my god, Legend of Shosha Shield. No. What I think they're going to do with the Monkey King is slam him in here with the End Times. That's what I think is going to happen, because I just don't think there's enough time to do a full-on Monkey King DLC. Just put it in there with the Cathay stuff, because we don't have any information about what they're going to add into Cathay. Who knows? Maybe Mung the Brutal might actually show up. Who knows? Probably not. But yeah, they've got to get Nagash out and Thankwall before the end of it. End Times DLC makes so much sense for them. So I imagine that after the Tides of Torment DLC, it's kind of going to be like, this is the main focus. And because it's 5 factions instead of 3, plus whatever FLC, it's probably going to take them a full year instead of 8 months. And so basically, Dogs of War may not end up coming. I do hope it does come, but I don't expect it now. Now, as for these two here, the possibility for a Tomb King DLC and Beastman DLC, from what I've heard, this is like stuff that they have as a big maybe if certain things happen. Basically, if Total War Warhammer 40k comes out and Warhammer 3 is still quite popular, then they'll leave a small dedicated team to just do like really small DLCs after the End Times DLC. So that's what I'm expecting from these ones here. After the End Times DLC is kind of just like a little bit of something just for those of you who keep playing Total War Warhammer 3 and then sort of end production of it as they usually do. As these games are not live service games, once they're finished making DLCs. And then it's just all hands on deck there for Total War Warhammer 40k from then on. So basically the life cycle of Total War Warhammer 3, if I'm correct in my speculations, basically it's got about 1 year, 15 months maybe of life left before Creative Assembly basically pull the plug on it and go, here's Warhammer 40k, this is the game that we want to sell you shitloads of DLC for from now on. And as for how that's going to go down, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, in terms of all this stuff here, really curious to see what you think about it with the Tides of Torment. But I think people are starting to get pretty fatigued because this game's been out for a while and it's starting to get a bit stale. It is what it is. As for some other things, I've been noticing a lot of people on the subreddit. The subreddit has got some really good discussions to go, and I do like to shine lights on them so that people can go over there and converse, because you never know when your conversation might actually have an impact on the game itself, much as the same way with the Throg stuff. So that's why I like to shine a light on the Reddit. As much as I've had my problems with the Total War subreddit, it is a very useful place to talk about things, and I think it's just really important that I've said this, I gotta keep saying it. Build bridges, find common ground, find the things that we're interested in, stop focusing on our differences. Anyway, in 2025, Total War celebrates a monumental landmark. Our 25th anniversary. Throughout the year, we'll have new free and DLC content for Warhammer 3, and also want to look to the past as we celebrate our story catalogue of releases journeying through each title that has been released since 2000. So the post this one here says, CA, half a year has passed, shame on you. Well, it hasn't actually been half a year yet. Let's be completely accurate. Okay, the 1st of June is not actually the halfway point of the year. It's actually the end of June. The 1st of July is actually the halfway point of the year. So we're not quite there yet. But you are right in pointing this out, that Creative Assembly has fucking done nothing this year. So what's going on? What was the point of this? Maybe it was all planned for the end of the year. But my thoughts are, it's if you're going to announce Warhammer 40k at the end of the year, why even bother do any of this other stuff here at the same time of it? So I thought they would spread that out amongst this year, but so far it's been nothing. I mean, people might say, oh, but Empire Total War got its addition to mobile. I don't think that really counts. But maybe that is what they meant. I don't know. But if that is the case, that's extremely disappointing. Especially when they want to look through their storied catalog and only Empire Total War has got anything, which they were sort of expected to get it anyway, since they're sort of making a mobile version of every single one of their older games now. But yeah, there's been no real love for any of the games, again, apart from Empire Total War. And they're a good portion of the way through their year. And I got to wonder what's going on with this. And I think it's really good that people are pointing this out. Hold Creative Assembly to account. They said this stuff in the blog post last year. You can go and find that and go, Creative Assembly, we got receipts. Where the fuck is this, bitch? Okay, point it out, because what Creative Assembly likes to do a lot of the time, this is why they're grifters, basically, it's the leadership. They love to blow smoke up your ass. They like to hype you up with nothing. Be like, oh, we're going to celebrate this stuff. But what they actually just do is put on sales and say that was what they had planned all along. And the thing is, the sales, that's no different from any other year, so it just doesn't fly with me whatsoever. Hold them to account and go, hey, where is this? Keep pressuring them, and they'll eventually fold. And it's really unfortunate that's the way it works with Creative Assembly, but that is the way it works. You have to call them out on their bullshit. You have to keep receipts of everything they've said, and be like, hey, you said you were going to do this. What's going on? And another thing to say to Creative Assembly is that it's okay to say we fucked up, or that something that we had originally planned isn't happening. But the most important thing is that they don't do what happened with Total War 3 Kingdoms and go, oh yeah, here's the future of Total War 3 Kingdoms. It's dead. They try to blow smoke up your ass with this kind of stuff, because it seems like they have a real aversion to telling people bad news. They would much rather either tell you no news, or just blow smoke up your ass. So it's possible that there may be some bad news associated with this, or all of their plans for this are concentrated in the second half of the year. Hard to say, but if you want to get some information from them, you got to put pressure on them. So get involved in the conversation, upvote these posts, get in here and be like, come on, CA, you're supposed to be being more transparent. You said you were going to be more transparent. Where's the fucking information? Because honestly, I would love to see some love for any one of the older Total War games, but there isn't any. And then there's this post here. I'll put all of this in the description, but this one actually goes through it bit by bit and sort of evaluates the blog post. This kind of stuff is really good. if you want to keep Creative Assembly to account. Because here's the thing, if you don't keep Creative Assembly to account, they will 100% slide back into their old ways, which is blood packs and increased DLCs, and this is the price that you have to pay in order to support the game and all this kind of bullshit. If you call them out on it every single time, and they'll fold every single time. Let them know that you're not a bloody, not a gullible fool, and hold them to account. And at least maybe we'll be able to convince them to just not tell bullshit in future. I don't know, but I definitely would like to see some either improved transparency, some better communication, or actually some celebrations from their catalog of releases that aren't just like mobile releases of fucking Empire Total War. That is not a celebration of it at all, in my opinion. But anyway, that's all I have to say about all the stuff today. Let me know in the comments below what you think about all this. Definitely looking forward to giving this a shot, and hopefully it's really good. I'm always rooting for it to be good, and I'm really interested to see what CA Sophia can get can come up with, because they're usually really good with campaign design side of things. They don't have a good track record with battles, but we'll just have to wait and see what happens with that. Maybe they'll hit the nail on the head this time. But yeah, definitely keen to try out Norsca, Slanesh, and the High Elf stuff. But I'm most interested in the High Elves, again, assuming that is what's coming, which. I think this leak is pretty much correct. Again, I'll leave all this stuff in the comments below. Appreciate you guys. That's the end of this one, and we'll see you next time. Later, guys.